Hi everybody, welcome to Season 5, Episode 9 of The Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry Podcast with me, Philip Ideson, and Darren MacAnthony, the Chairman and owner of Peterborough United. Now, we didn't record last week, mostly down to my travels, so everyone can blame me for no.
And the hurricane.
And the hurricane. We had the small matter of a hurricane. I guess I forgot about that already because I was swanning off in Europe while it happened.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Leaving my wife and kids to fend for themselves.
Listen, I've done that many a time. all true capitalists do that, don't worry.
Now, we had a lot of comments and questions, just checking in, seeing how we were for the hurricane. So how were you?
Bar losing the internet for 3 days, and in this new house I'm building, the power gone off when I needed it on with the work getting done. I mean, listen, people lost their lives in the hurricane, so a bit of internet and power. As much as I moaned like fuck when it happens, because it cost me 2 days of work. Listen, we got through it, and Florida are quite, no matter what you want to say about our governor, he's brilliant. I think we come through those hurricanes really well. We're very organized, and God bless some of the people. I think it was tornadoes that took them out. The people who lost their lives.
Yeah.
So that was tornadoes worse than a hurricane. We've had a tornado warning. We've hidden the wardrobe, hidden certain places, and but listen, we touch wood, we were fortunate, and I think now that kind of the cleanup is starting afterwards, and hopefully hurricane season's over, and we can move on.
We could do with the rest. We got lucky. We kept power. We kept internet. We had a few tree branches down.
Yeah.
But knock on wood that we don't find any gremlins that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But
we
certainly came out of it much better than what I was worried. Watching what was it, 3 days before it came, and you look at the path, and the path was basically directly over our houses, wasn't it?
Phil, it was like people probably don't know. I had people from England I'd heard of were reaching out to me. I had lawyers reaching out to me. I had football owners reaching out. Obviously, the Daily Mail had put up a lot of stuff of people putting names on dead bodies, being warned by a local sheriff to do this, and I think people thought.
Tampa.
Yeah, Tampa looked really bad, and I think people were like, I was going, oh God, have you? My lawyer was like, have you evacuated the area? I'm like, evacuated the fucking area? We've been through these for 14 years, and the irony is, obviously it was meant to hit on Wednesday, Thursday. We played on the Tuesday night, and if you saw the rain at Peterborough, it was biblical. It was like the rain we were getting here. And I said after 65 minutes, we were winning really comfortably. I said I was losing my shit in the kitchen, because I was like, this is just our fucking luck. We got a hurricane coming. We're about to win, an important cup game, and this ref's going to call the game off because the fucking pitch is just like Swamp Lake. And this rain I keep seeing on the TV, it was biblical. I've never seen rain like that in Peterborough. So it was just one of them weeks where I was like, fuck me, this is going to happen here. Now we're going to have this happen in Florida. I'm just like, oh my God Almighty, can I catch a break here? But yeah.
well, let's talk about the topic.
Let's go back in time.
Yeah, let's and it's before we get into Posh, before we get into Bradford.
Sure.
The news of the day right now, and the discussions is around Carsley, and Carsley putting himself out of the running for the England job. Who would you appoint if you were heading up the FA?
Well, I said months ago to get Klopp.
Yeah.
And everyone said, well, he wasn't available. Now he's going and taking some
big
job with Red Bull or whatever else. So I guess the old saying in life is everyone, is closable. Everyone is buyable.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're viable, but if you don't, I'd be very interested to find out. I don't know if they ever have to report this, but I'd like to see who the FA have actually gone and spoken to.
Yeah.
Because it's been quite a few months now since Southgate went. And if it comes out that they haven't spoke to anyone, I thought they could just shoehorn in another under-21s manager like they got lucky with Southgate for a period of time, I think you'd have to question the leadership at the FA level, because this is one of the biggest jobs in the world. If America can go out and put together a committee to go and get the money and hire Pochettino, what on earth is the FA doing? We're not going to get the best in class. And if they always think the answer is, we're just going to go get the 21s manager, well, that doesn't always work. Like football clubs, you just put their academy manager in charge of the first team. 99% of the time, as I also found out, that doesn't work. So, look, Carsley's a great coach. I think he's got a great career. I'm actually glad for him he's not taking the job, because I actually think he'll come out of the 21s and get a good job in football. I think he's a methodical coach. He's a good coach. He got slaughtered for obviously playing with the false nine and trying to get too cute and trying to pigeonhole everyone in. I understand what he was trying to do. I didn't like the I don't know what Kyle Walker's doing hanging around at that age still. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to you're playing. I always argued about Ireland playing players that
Yeah.
in 2 years' time are going to be 36,
Right,
37.
you should be playing them. Who's going to play in the World Cup? Be playing those
Right.
now.
Every time I see an Irish team with a 34-year-old or a 33-year-old in it, I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, you got to look forward at some stage. Like, with all due respect to those players who are legends of the game, and Walker's one of the best England have ever had. I'm not saying he doesn't need to be involved, but you've got so many good fullbacks now you want to see playing the England team. I think it was Trent Alexander-Arnold playing left back.
Right.
I think I didn't see the England game. My
Right.
daughter was at me yesterday to watch it, but I was watching the Patriots play because Drake May made his debut, so that was more important than watching the England game. But I think Trent was maybe I could have got that wrong.
Okay,
But
I don't know.
left-back.
I haven't seen either of the games either, to be honest.
Yeah. So again, maybe they put Walker over there, but I know Trent was man of the match and whatever else, and he's your right back. Like, let's stop all the shit. Let's stop talking about what he can't do defensively. Trent Alexander-Arnold is coming into the prime of his career. Retire everyone else. Get him a good backup. He's your right back. He's the best right back in world football. He will be for the next 4 or 5 years. If he doesn't sign with Liverpool this year, he'll probably go to Real Madrid. Then he'll become even more of an attacking, explosive right back. That is your right back of the future. If he had a Brazilian passport, he'd have 100 caps for Brazil already. He would.
Yeah.
And I know it.
And his goals would be celebrated around the world.
Absolutely. Everything he does. So I don't know about the England job. What would I do now? I mean, they're saying obviously the ex-Brighton manager and Chelsea manager, Potter.
Yeah, Potter. You would have thought that he would have been appointed already, though, if he wanted it.
Yeah, and again, I don't know. It was leave.
Should England have gone for Pochettino?
No, well, he's good with young players, so you'd have that. So yeah, but I honestly think Poch will probably just do the US World Cup. I'm not sure he'll stay past that. I think the minute a good job in Europe comes up, he'll want to go. So it depends what you want from England. Do you want to look beyond the next World Cup, and you just want to go to the World Cup? If it's just the World Cup, get Klopp. And I said that before. You got to win now. So if it's winning now, go get Klopp. If you're looking beyond that, well, then obviously it's a longer project. Potter's got a bit of the Southgate personality for me. So I'm not overly excited by that. Then again, there's a real lack of. Everyone's talking about Tuchel. He's not my cup of tea, Tuchel. So I think he falls out with too many people above him. I think in an international environment, the FA board and everything. I'm just not sure.
Yeah,
you need to get a manager in who's definitely going to work cohesively with the 21s, the 18s, and all of those groups. I'm sure the FA are gutted that Carsley didn't win all the games because they would have thought it's a really easy. Not use the word cheap, but an easy fit to just pigeonhole in there. So I really don't know. You look at some of the managers out there, it's a tough one, right?
What's the skill set that you look for in an international manager that a club manager doesn't have, or not necessarily doesn't have? What are the kind of differences in role that you look?
I think the FA probably start with are they a company man? Do they deal with the press really well? Southgate was very good at towing the company line. I think you're looking for. If you want England to win tournaments, you almost need to look at that je ne sais quoi that Guardiola has, that Klopp has. You can go down the Potter route, you can go down the Southgate route, you can do all of that. I'm not sure it's going to get you any further than some semi-finals and, obviously the 2 finals Southgate lost. But if you want somebody to recreate and respin the wheel and do something differently, whatever else, and get this England team playing with the football that it deserves, maybe an outside one is Ancelotti going to spend much longer at Real Madrid?
Mm-hmm.
Because Brazil were looking to hire him.
Yeah.
Could Carlo Ancelotti take this group of players? Look at what he did with Madrid when they were under strength and they beat Man City and they dug in last year. And then look at the flip side to that when they start playing their best football. He can do it both ways. If he's got a team that's not ready, he'll still win. If he's got a team that's bubbling to be sizzling and exciting and flamboyant, he can win that way.
Yeah.
So he's that manager with that experience that maybe Ancelotti's not a bad shout where you'd say to Ancelotti, look, we're going to hold this job till the summer. So you're going to come in there, is this your final year at Real Madrid? And I think Ancelotti would be, if Klopp doesn't want it, he's kind of like a logical kind of step forward.
That's an interesting shout. Yeah, that's an interesting shout because I think that I don't care about the England managers in 6 years' time or in 4 years' time.
No, you want to win now.
I want someone who can win.
You
so let's
want
get
to
that monkey off the back and win one. And then we can start talking about, how are we going to have a legacy and how are we going to go and build on that and things. But we just need to win now by any means necessary.
I agree with you. So that's the answer to the my landscape is starting since it's all going to get chaotic here. The noise. I apologize in advance. So Yeah. It's always my luck, is that we do the podcast, the landscapers are back. This is like,
It's
clean up. Hurricane clean up.
I have all the same when I'm doing mine as well, and then they get the leaf blower out right by the window.
Yeah,
just
that's where he is, and then the dog suddenly loses his shit, and it's just chaos here, Anyway, so let's talk. Should we? Where do we leave off with Peterborough?
So we left you off before you won. You had your double header against Stevenage, so you had 2-1, and then the EFL trophy you were talking about that was nearly rained off for 2-0, and then we had Rotherham at the weekend.
Yeah, so we played Stevenage. They were quite good. I think we got criticised for not playing very well. My manager wasn't happy. The staff weren't happy, and I said to everybody, look, there's going to be times where we play really well and don't win, and there's going to be times where we don't play well and we win. And a young group like that needs to learn the art of both ways. Just before the Stevenage game, we lost 3-0 to Wigan on a Tuesday night. We played our best football in the first half against Wigan. We should have been 2-0 up. We should have been clear. And we made mental errors, you know what I mean? And we lost 3-0. It wasn't a 3-0 defeat. And then we go and play on Saturday against Stevenage, play half as good as we did against Wigan, and we win the game. And it was great. It was a last-minute winner. It was the kind of result that group needed. They've had a lot of knocks. They've had a lot of things happen. And again, in the Wigan game, we lost Hector Cipriano, our captain, for the next 2 months. So
what's in the air with injuries right now?
Yeah, I mean, we went into the season with Hector and Archie, your number one central midfield pairing, pretty good in League One. We then got the Man City boy in as backup for Hector, who was going to we didn't have that strength and depth last year in case someone got injured. He gets injured. Hector gets injured. We had Darragh O'Brien, who we wanted to break in slowly this year, and he's had to play every game. So you've got all those kind of things happen, and I'm not going to keep, moaning about injuries and stuff, because it's part and parcel, and we get on with it. We're getting on with it. But what I liked is that we beat Stevenage. We played them in Tuesday on the Cup. We beat them again. First clean sheet. I thought 𝗛𝗿𝗚, our goalie, was fantastic. He's been fantastic in the 2 games. Do you know what I mean? That he's played.
Which is great, because he, came under a lot of pressure.
Which is bullshit, because he had 11 clean sheets in 20-odd games, and then he got injured, and he made some mental errors young goalies do.
Yeah.
But he's the clean sheet king that we have at our club. If you look over the last 18 months, he's got more clean sheets per 90 minutes than any goalkeeper we've had. So that was so we beat Stevenage in that cup game. And then obviously Archie Collins gets booked in the previous game. So Archie Collins is now going to be missing. So now you've got Ryan de Havilland, who's been injured all season.
Yeah.
You've suddenly, the manager against Rotherham, we're playing a very experienced Rotherham side. We get to the Rotherham game, and you're playing a side from Rotherham that's got more championship games than most of our teams got League One games.
Heavily favoured to get promoted.
Of course, yeah. And forget about the position, a bit like our position. It's kind of like being a stop-start season. But you would look at their team and you look at their experience versus what we had to put out.
And they've not got a bad goal scorer up front either.
Yeah. So they've got some very good players, very experienced players. So I was kind of interested to know, would our young team dominate the way we want to dominate?
Yeah.
Because it'd been icky against Stevenage. It was good then against Stevenage. But would they be able to play a very experienced Rotherham midfield, an experienced team? I didn't know how Steve was going to set up. And I thought, will we be able to dictate the tempo of the game? Will we dominate possession? Will we play our style? Because now you're putting together a central midfield pairing of Darragh O'Brien, who's just turned 20, Ryan de Havilland, who's 23. Between the two of them, they've played, I think, 8 league games in league football. So now you're playing a Rotherham midfield that's probably got hundreds of championship appearances. That's just the midfield battle. So just say that we battered them. We battered them. And I know you're going to say, but you were 3-1 down at halftime. We battered them. We had 75% possession. We were fantastic. We played brilliantly. I was so, not proud because I've said that enough, impressed with, when you look through, we had our academy right back in there. We had, again, an academy centre back in Manny Fernandez as our captain. Yeah. We had Darragh and Ryan in midfield. I mean, we had, players 4 or 5 that came through our academy in 21s in that team. And, I saw Steve Evans' comments afterwards. Steve, I've defended loads on the pod.
Yeah.
But he lets himself down sometimes with some of the shite that he spews in post-matches. Sometimes come out and say the better team didn't get the result they deserved. Your team don't deserve to win every game.
I think he's allergic to that, isn't he?
He's allergic to it, and he has to sometimes. I have to question his credibility when I heard his comments. I was keen to hear his comments because, I think they've had 5 shots on goal, scored 3, and hit the bar with the other one. Yeah, went 3-1 up when we dominated the first half.
How did it get to 3-1 then?
Well, so we got 1-0 up, and then they get a corner, and we can see the stupid goal. Then again, their winger has his first attack down our left side. He gets in. He should never score from that angle where he scores. Says 2-1. We're then basically in the ascendancy. Ricky's missed from 2 yards. Manny's missed from 2 yards. We should now be 3-2 up. Like 2 yards. And that happens. It's 10 seconds before halftime. They roll it down. Clark Harris basically is allowed on his left. And again, where he put it, should never score. And it's 3-1. And I think there was 4 shots in the first half. 3 are in goal, and the other ones hit the bar. That's 4 on target against us. So we go in at halftime. You can imagine, I'd say the natives were restless with a good crowd, good support. But it's a game that's never 3-1. Never in a million years. I'm then interested to say, my wife is in there at halftime, make me a coffee, and goes like, I saw it was 1-0. What happened? Did it? And I'm like, we have absolutely battered them. We've dominated that game. I cannot believe what I'm watching. Like now I'm thinking just like we're cursed. Then I'm thinking similar to Wrexham and Huddersfield at home, where they've scored to go into a 2-0 lead just before half time, and we didn't react in the second half. I was thinking, we're either going to go under here and take a battering, or we're going to like grow up.
Yeah.
And we're going to like go out and whatever. And we went out, and no word of a lie, we scored 2 goals really quickly, but actually missed from 1 yard out. I think Sparksy was 1 yard out and hits it against their player's foot or whatever, who clears it 1 yard out for a corner. We scored from the preceding corner. Ricky scored. And then Manny pops up with a great equaliser. And at that point then, we had chances, but we didn't. It was almost like, we're dominating this game. We've scored some quick goals, and it kind of like the air came out of the balloon a little bit for both sides.
Yeah.
Rotherham had 2 brilliant chances. They had a great chance that Jed Steer had made an unbelievable save from. And then their left back obviously, pinged one wide when he potentially should have put it on target. But they were the only 2 chances I can remember. Oh, they broke away at the last kick of the game, but they didn't have a shot on goal. So when Steve's talked about some penalty, there was never a penalty. Anyone who watches that, even a Rotherham fan, would go that the referee actually got it right. But that's where, as a young group, you learn how to get the appetite to want to win. Yeah. So they had the appetite to get basically on level terms, and then probably ran out of that desire to want to go and win. And we had some, chances laid on and set pieces and stuff, but we didn't maybe. These are things you learn. But I tell you right now, I think we had the most possession we've had in like 10 years as a football team. I think we had 75% possession. And Steve afterwards has gone on about, they're going to say they were missing players and 2, blah, 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 blah. They're only missing 2 players. Yeah. So you're missing Hector and Archie Collins. And
just 2 players.
You forgot about the 500 grand left back that hasn't played yet this season, and a couple of other things he missed as well. Defensively and whatever else. So, there's more to that. So I was disappointed at that, because he's meant to be a local fan. Now, of course, he's got to defend his own team, and I understand that. But let's,
why do you think he does this? Because we had him on the pod a couple of years ago, just after he left Gillingham, and I thought, my experience of him was always as an opposing team, and he has his history, of course, at Bradford, as we've talked about. But he came on the podcast, and you got to see kind of behind the Steve Evans, that's the persona that's on the field. I just wonder, why? Because you know him more than most. Like, why does he have this veneer that
he deflects? I don't know. Maybe his ego won't allow him to admit when he's been, outclassed, tactically, or outclassed actually dominating a football game.
Yeah.
Because you would expect, if I owned Rotherham and I had that wage bill and that experience, I would expect my team to dominate possession, be on the front foot and whatever. And I think his CEO said to Barry in the stands, you guys, I don't know how you keep doing this with young players. Like, that was, brilliant to watch, the way you play and fair play. And that was nice to see CEO say that. If you listen to Darren when we've lost games and we deserve to lose, he will always come out and say, hey, look, you've got to give credit sometimes to the opposition. As bad as we were, you have to give credit to you. And he's done it a couple of times this season.
So, to me, that's where, as a manager, you lose your home fans, as if you talk about something that nobody else saw. So it then looks like it's delusional. Because, are you watching a different game than what we are? And are you not seeing the problems that we saw in the game?
I'll give you an example. Like, Stevenage in the league game that we won. Did we deserve to win that game? No. We made our luck and we scored a late winner, and they'd had plenty of chances before that. We dominated in spells, then they got on top of us and equalised. And then there was a 20-minute period where they should have won the game. And we dug in. And Jed Steer was very good in that game. And we dug in. And basically, we stole it with the final kick of the game. And that's happened to us so many times. Yeah. And to be fair, Stevenage would felt hard done by because they played really well. And I would say maybe Stevenage, on the balance of power, probably deserved to win that game. But we stole the game. I can say that. My manager came out after and said we didn't play well. Stevenage played well. You can come out and tell the truth. You don't always have to spin a narrative. You don't have to your eyes don't tell lies. If you're the manager, you stood there, Stevie boy, and you're watching the other team basically have 75% of the game, and you've scored a few goals, and whatever else, and you're thinking you should win being 3-1 up, but you're really watching a team that's, I don't know, half your age, or 8 years younger than you, with very little experience in that game. Like I said about the midfield, I think they played 8 games together, dominating you. So sometimes give credit and say, look, we have issues injury-wise, they have issues, but fair play to them. They dominated that game, and we scored some great goals on the break, and they made some mistakes, and we scored from that, and we should have nicked it with some of the chances we had, but they're a very good team. We move on. It's a good point. That's what you got to do. You have to come out and talk about penalties, and you should have won, and they never played through us.
I understand the whole us against the world, because sometimes you do that. You do that especially when you've got, a younger squad, or maybe a squad that you've pulled together of free transfers, and where there truly is a kind of a talent gap, and you're trying to make up for that by creating camaraderie around your team. But when you've got the talent that Rotherham have got, then there's no us against the world.
I took them in the summer to get promoted, and they still might, and they still have an amazing squad that he's put together. And you know what they are, and they're full of experience. You expect them to be up there, and they will be. Evans is no mug. Their players are no mugs. They're very experienced and very good at what they did. And on Saturday, they took their chances. And, some of those chances should never have been goals. Do you know what I mean? But because, everyone's gone on about our defense. We're the leading goal scorers in the league, and we conceded the most. So in NFL terms, you're number one in offense, and you're last in defense. So it's like, but that...
Isn't that a very Darren MacAnthony squad? You go for the goals.
Yeah, yes and no. Last year I think we were like 12th to 13th, so we were like number one.
But you over-index on scoring, and sometimes
And other promotion years we've been like top 8, 9 in defence, and I still think we could be. And I think the problem is when you've played 11 league games and we've had 9 different back fours, I think that's a problem, and that's something we need to find a settle back for. We also, for the ratio of shots on goal, concede too many. So I think statistically, usually it's between 15 to 20% you would concede. So if there's 10 shots on target, you concede 1.5, 2 goals.
Yeah.
At the moment, here's the good news. We're actually not conceding that many shots on goal.
If you revert back to the mean.
So, if you go back to the actual shots on our goal, what our defense is allowing, we're actually in the top 8 in League One.
Mm-hmm.
So we're dominating the game. We're allowing very few chances, but too many are going in the net.
Yeah.
So the conversion rate is way too high, way too high. And we all know that, by the way. And I'm not slagging anyone off and I'm not digging anyone out. But when a team has like Rotherham, from what I remember, 5 on target and pretty much 4 nearly go in because the 4th hit the bar, it's too much. And we've had that in games. We've seen it. We've seen it in games. There's been games where I think Wigan, when they beat us 3-0, I think again it was like 5, 6 on target and, over 50, 60% have gone in.
Now, does that even itself out of the season, or is it because there's bad positioning, or not closing down enough?
I think I've seen other teams where defenders put bodies on lines. I've seen goalkeepers make saves. I've seen things happen where I'm like, Jesus Christ, where's our bodies?
At the ball.
And like those, So I think it's collective. So our defense has to be better. Our goalkeeping has to be better. Everything has to be better. And I think if you asked any of them, settle back 4 needs to happen. Have our goalies played at their best level compared to previous times? No. I think, all those people involved have to do better, and I'm always the biggest complimenter of my coaches, my staff, my players, and I support them and I back them. But we're probably lacking in that area that we need to do better. And it's far too easy to score against us in set pieces, particularly second phases. You see it, a corner comes in, you're just shitting yourself that if they don't score from the direct corner, it's going to go back out for a second phase and get recycled back in, and we concede a lot. So those are things you would analyze and go, we need to fix that. We need to fix it on the training ground. The players need to take responsibility. But it would fucking help if we named the same back 4 for 3 or 4 games in a row and give them a little bit of consistency. Same for the goalie, that he knows the same 4 people in front of him, that they can get a bit of camaraderie. And, against Stevenage during the week, we had our first clean sheet. It was excellent. It was excellent. They were excellent. We played like we wanted a clean sheet. Everything was good. So we just have to find that. Will we find it? Yes. We can keep talking about injuries, and there's no point anymore. Because there were so many fucking injuries, so many issues. We just got to go with what we've got. And on Saturday, what we had was a group of players who basically picked apart one of the best teams in League One, picked apart one of the most experienced teams in League One, and scored 3 goals and came back from the dead and showed character. If we can take that, having nearly done it at Birmingham, you know, and then we take a Rotherham and whatever else, is we can score goals, we can create goals, we can dominate games. If we put the other pieces together, we've got a hell of a chance. I'm loving what I'm seeing in some of the partnerships. You know, James Donnelly, he needs a run. I always said him and Kwame would be the best right side pair. You know, that looks explosive. Again, he's a young player. He will be very good. Sparks has had a lot of criticism. But the last 2 games, bar say he probably put his hands up and say he made a mistake for Rotherham's equaliser, you know, on Saturday, or the second goal on Saturday. He was excellent the rest of the game. And his set pieces, he's been setting up goals for fun. He looks like he's got another gear. He's ready to go up. I think we give him confidence. Rio, the left back we spent a lot of money on in the summer, is coming back in a few weeks. Yeah. That might kick Sparksy as well. You know, Oscar has played 10 months of football.
Yeah, was that no Swedish boy? No pre-season.
Right. George Nevitt's never played, you know, bar a couple of games, including being in the clean sheet. You know, Jadell's injured. You know, Manny's been our best defender, our captain. He's a colossus. You know, everyone wants to talk about what Manny can't do. I want to talk about what he can do.
Was Manny always on a fast track to being captain, or is that just circumstance?
I think we all saw it in pre-season. We were all stood there on the sidelines. I think it was in Spain, and he was talking the most out of the back four. He was really talkative. He was really aggressive, and because Manny's a gentle giant when you talk to him off the pitch, but on the pitch he's the only one who talks. The rest aren't very vocal and very verbal. You know, Jed will tell you, a good goalie, because he talks a lot. Yeah. You need to be talking. You need to organise yourselves, and Manny's got that. And what Manny's now got is a run of games. I said about we bombed out Ricardo Santos far too early. He went on to become like one of the best defenders in League One. He had to rebuild because we bombed him out. We thought he was an awkward defender. We got on his back. Fans maybe did a little bit. We never gave him a chance. It ended very badly. He went to non-league. He came back, and he's one of the best defenders in League One. Manny, Sean Maloney of Wigan, after the game, asked him, I said to our management staff, he's a great young manager, by the way, and what he's done with Wigan, similar to us at young players. He said to our management staff, where did you get the centre-half from? They were like, oh, we've had him 4 years. He's come through like 18s, 21s. And he said he could skip a level going upwards. Yep. You know, that's, you know, people now are noticing Manny for what he can do. And of course, he'll still make the odd mental error, and he'll still make the odd mistake because he's played 10 games his whole career in the EFL. He's played 10 games, Phil. I think he's only started 10 league fucking games. I mean, what's he going to be like after 50 games? He's 22. He's 6'5". He wins fucking 75% of aerial battles. Most defenders win 58 to 60, and they're great defenders. You know, he comes out with a ball. Not only that, I said in the summer he'd score 10 league goals. I think I might have to revise that because he's a fucking threat. So, you know, I was doing a report this morning going through it all. As much as it's been deflating with the injuries, the suspensions, the issues, you know, games, and the start hasn't gone how we'd like it to go, the pain of all of that is put to one side with the progression of Donne, the progression of James Donnelly, the progression of Manny Fernandez, the progression of young players who might not have got a chance with all those injuries, who are suddenly showing they can be proper players. And you know, whilst maybe some of them came in earlier than we wanted them to, you know, now they're in, they're making strides, they're improving. Like Ryan de Havilland, you know, I don't think he's played 5 league starts for us, and you know, he played very well on Saturday. Yes, he made the odd error or whatever else, but like he's his first 90 minutes in like I don't know how long, you know. So you know,
and now those spots are theirs to keep. You know, they got to fight to keep those spots when the players come back from injury.
You look at the central midfield on Saturday, Archie's got to step it up, you know, and whatever else, you know. Malik suddenly started looking like that left winger that we've lacked and we want Ibby to be, and who could still be that. And you know, Malik's one of those players where you know, and I've spoke to him this summer and talked to him that, you know, for 30 minutes he was unplayable on the left. When Malik Mothersille takes players on and goes in that mode, he's as good as there is. Ephron was one of the best I've ever seen doing it. But Malik just basically, because he defends already, he works really hard, he supports the fullback. But if he goes that way, and sometimes in games he's like, I don't know what it is with him, a young ex-Premier League player, and he just doesn't, just go at them. When he attacks a fullback, and let me tell you, the Rotherham fullback didn't enjoy him attacking on Saturday. Malik is as good as there is. You've already got Quams on the other side doing his thing. You've got Joel doing his thing, and you've got Ricky doing his thing. And they're starting to score goals. You know, if we can get that side right, whether it's Malik, whether it's, you know, Abraham, or whatever else, we've been side this season's killed us to a certain extent. The different starters, the different players, the players out of form, the players not really tying down that position. fix that, get some consistency in our 11, we'll win a lot of games. We'll start flying.
And I just want to mention Joel Randall. You said there he's back in the first team.
Yeah,
That's
great
the
to
end
see
of
that.
that storm in the teacup.
Yeah. I didn't even know. I got a phone call. The manager rang me last Friday and said, "Oh, good news, Joel's back in the fold and came to see me and he'll be on the bench tomorrow." That was against Stevenage. And, he was very good when he came on and he played from the start on Tuesday. He was good again on Saturday. Look, I've said it, Joel's one of the best in his league, and I don't want to talk about what goes on at training grounds. He got frustrated with himself and probably frustrated that we didn't win every game we started, like a lot of players, and probably manifested itself in the wrong way. He's a winner, wants to win, wants to go up, wants to get promoted. I get it, you know what I mean? And sometimes players can't communicate that in a certain way and it can rub people up the wrong way. And it's done, it's forgotten. It's a storm in a teacup. And, he's a wonderful player. And we're stronger having Joel Randall available for selection. The manager knows that, but I also back the manager because he also knows when he has to do things to get the best out of people. I saw people going, "It's ridiculous he did that publicly and ridiculous that." Maybe the manager knows better than all of us. Maybe he knows that's the way he can cajole that player to respond in a certain way and go, "Okay, that's wrong what I've done." So that's football. So again, I'm not going to question my manager.
And so coming up, we've got Wycombe away, Blackpool at home, and then Bolton away. So,
this league is like brilliant. It's a brilliant league. Wycombe are like one of the best teams in the league so far this year. Fantastic, playing great football. Like their manager, like what they've done. Very different to previous Wycombe teams. Never a great place for us to go to, but we got to start knocking those things off. Where it's like, can we go to Wycombe and win? So this young team's got to learn how to win, and they got to learn how to win games in a row. Because, we can talk about injuries, but no one's coming to help them. None of those injured players, and, Evans is talking about, we only had 2. There's really like 4 of our 11 are missing that would start probably every game. So they're not coming back anytime soon by Archie. So we just got to get on with it. And, we have what we have. And, whether that's our 21s, whether that's our 18s, that's who we have as a club. And we're not going to be the only club in the country that's going to go through this. So I'm going to stop harping about it. We got to stop, win, lose, or draw. It is what it is. And then you got obviously, Blackpool who are flying. Brucey's just won manager of the month. You've got Bolton to follow. Suddenly found form. Great. If you want to win promotion from this league, if you want to be up there, you have to win games. You have to beat these teams. You have to go there and do what you got to do. So Saturday was brilliant because of the comeback, but probably a missed opportunity because we played the way we played for 10 games. We win that 9 out of 10 times. Yeah. We save some of those goals. We don't make some of those mistakes, and we take our chances where we miss from 2 yards like 3 times in a game. So as much as Rotherham missed 2 great chances, we missed 3 chances from 2 yards. 2 yards. Go watch the game back. Ricky, Manny, and Jack Sparks. 3 from 2 yards. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, you score probably all 3 of them every game. So that's it now. That's the challenge for the young group. So keep getting better. Start winning games. Put together some winning runs. Stop worrying about whether we're playing Birmingham and Wrexham and Huddersfield or whatever else. Whoever we're playing, you want to win promotions from League One, you got to beat everything that's put in front of you. And we're going to play some really, really good teams coming up. And look forward to that, And if we're stretched and we have to use other players against Stevenage in the Cup, we had young players like Kamara come on. We had Ashley Youngson come on. Yeah. We had, who else came on? There was another youngster that came on. They were brilliant.
I didn't even know he was in the academy.
Yeah, we recruited him basically in the summer to our 21s. Yeah. He's been brilliant, and Ollie Rose is brilliant. The centre back who came on, and David Kamara, fucking what a prospect! He's 18, striker. Ooh, we're very excited about him. His work. This is an 18-year-old who holds the ball up, is quick, can run in behind, who just runs all fucking day long. I mean, he's our leading goal scorer in our 21s. We signed him when he was from Welling when he was 17.
Right.
It's like, and then you go into our 18s. We've had a bit of a shitty week for the academy and 21s. The 18s and 21s, we've lost games, but unfortunately, a lot of those players have had to play 21 games and 18 games back to back, and really, really tired because the first team and injuries. Usually, we'd have 4 or 5 of the first team squad in those games. So we've got in the 18s team. We got a centre back who scores more goals than Manny. We've got a forward who's quicker than Ricky. I'm not going to name names, so I don't put pressure on people. And we've got a central. We've got some nice. That's just the 18s with a lot of 16s and 17s in it. We've got some bloody good talent coming through. So listen, sign me up. If I can watch us play like we played against Rotherham every day of the week, play like that, because we haven't been as good as that. Against Wigan for half we were. Yep. Against Stevenage we weren't anything like that. and then we go and play like that. It just makes me smile because we didn't stop the way we wanted to play. We didn't go off message. We didn't change formations. We didn't start lumping the ball. We just played. And when we play, we can be as good as fucking anybody, regardless if we're missing 5 players. So yeah, and I get some fans are, I was having them, they were coming at me on Saturday and this and that and whatever else. It's just like, look, if you were with us last year when it was all going great and we were going to cup finals and we were playing champagne football and everything was wonderful, be with us now, because now is when we need you more than ever. It's great when we're out doing really well and we're all on the same page and we're all cheering, but like now is when, not me, the team, the staff, everyone who works really hard, we need the fans. Those small few of them who are a little bit, not negative, but moaning and don't like what they see, where's the money being spent and da-da-da-da-da. Those players need you. They need you. I don't need you. They need you.
You're only, 10, 11 games, I'm going to guess, away from dismantling the team. You dismantled because of the opportunities that some of those players got because of so you had to rebuild again. You 10 games into, putting a new generation of players together.
I know what you're saying there. I don't think we dismantled the team. I hear what you're saying. It was a retooling. We lost Ronnie, we lost Harrison and Josh Knight. Yeah. Efron was already going. So we lost 3 key players. But, go back in time. All those players took time to find their feet in the team.
Right.
And you don't go out and replace those players with the same players. You're not Liverpool, man. So not even Liverpool go out and replace Mo Salah with Mo Salah.
Yeah.
They're going to have to go get the next Mo Salah that might take a little while to get up to the standard of a Mo Salah. They tried to replace Mane with Luis Diaz. Diaz has taken 3 years to get to the standard of Mane for goals and assists. That's Liverpool with the money they have and whatever else. You just don't go out and replace straight away. What you do is you go out and try and get the next one up that you think you're going to develop into that player, and it might take a little while. So I get people wanting to moan about the quality of player we lost, and we did. We lost some good players in the summer. But we're Peterborough United. We're always going to lose some good players, but we're also going to recreate and bring in some good players. And we have a lot of that. And we still have, when you look at the 11 and whatever else, fully fit, you've still got, I don't know, you throw Jadel in the mix. You probably got, I would say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the first 11 last year, 7, 8 of the first 11 that were playing champagne football, winning games, going to cup finals, still there in a big way. So that's football. And we have no divine right to be top of League One after 11 games at this stage of the season. And I don't care where we are. All right. When we catch form properly, when we catch fire, we will win a lot of games of football.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in the meantime, we're taking our licks, we're taking our digs. And unfortunately, some people enjoy seeing that at times and come bang, bang, bang from the sides. Get it. Hit me all you want. Just support the lads as best you can. That's it. So that's enough of it, Peterborough.
All right.
Let's move on to the mighty Bantams.
Yes, and so we left it a couple of weeks ago where people were mumbling about the fact that Graham Alexander should be sacked because we weren't top of the table by 10 points. And so since then, we beat Newport 3-1 at home on last Monday, which I didn't see because I was an event, just a work event.
Right.
And then we beat Tranmere away 2-0, which actually Tranmere, it's always been a happy hunting ground for us. I don't know what it is about Prenton Park, but I had a lot of some good memories of going all down to Mr. Cook, who is top scorer in League Two again. He's the Clark
Harris, isn't he, in League Two?
Yeah,
he's like he is,
I think he got either 1 or 2 against Newport. I don't know if you saw the header where he's basically arched himself back.
I did. Yeah. He's just like he's a League Two legend, isn't he? He is what he is. You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
And he just keeps on going when you write him off. And then your Tranmere being the other club that he scored a hatful of goals for when he came through, when they got back promoted up into the EFL, scored both of them at Tranmere at the weekend. So, we went from Graham Alexander is horrible, everyone at the club sucks and has lied to us, to, we're now 3 points off the top. And we don't have any defense because they're all injured. And every time that we bring another, when somebody gets back, like we had Neil Byrne was going to play on, I think he played against Newport. He was going to play against Tranmere, 10 minutes before kickoff, he's scratched because he's hurt himself, or he got sick and got ill. Jack Shepherd, who came in for him, he got injured again. So you end up with your right back at centre back, and we just kind of we're just trying to get by. Yep. So we signed Paul Huntington from who was at Carlisle on a free. On a short-term free. We signed Corey Evans, who was Sunderland, on a short-term free as well to plug some of those gaps. But I think midfield, when we had Joe Adams, who was here from Wigan, and then he basically did his ACL, left us with no real cover at defensive centre mid. So I think that's probably why you brought Corey Evans in.
You've got a lot of goals in you, though, and that's a great thing, right?
Yeah, and we've got injuries up to Sarcevic is out for I don't know for how much longer. Patterson's back being out again. So Bobby Poynton's been starting, which we talked about him before, and
very well. Yeah,
he's there's a lot of talent there, and he's not necessarily imposed himself for full games yet, but he's had a couple of good games, and is doing well. Up front, Kavanagh is back in instead of Sanderson, and Kavanagh is can't buy a goal at the moment, but then he set Andy Cook up on, so he got the assist, and you just want to try and start to get some partnerships going on, and that's what's been hard for us too, with all the injuries and all the churn. To after 11 games with 3 points off the top, it's probably not a bad return.
Incredible. I mean, League Two is probably the most wide open it's been in
25
years.
Yeah, three. I mean, it's basically it's all the runners and the riders are all bunched up together after 10 or 11 games.
We got to give Darren Moore some props, though, haven't we? I mean, I've been very critical of him in the past, but I got to give him props. Though I think Port Vale are top of the league, aren't they?
They are, and then Gillingham, I think. And we've got Gillingham at home on Saturday, so I'm actually looking forward to that. You talked about you got to win these games. We've got a pretty tough few games coming up. We've got Gillingham at home, we've got Cheltenham away, and then we've got Doncaster at home. But I'm looking forward to those because they're kind of markers to see
where you are,
where we are, and because someone's going to need to someone's going to put a run together. Against some of the other, runners and riders up at the top, and suddenly find themselves 6 points clear.
Right. Why can't it be you?
Why not us? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's exciting, that is. So, listen, let's see. Have you got Gillingham at home?
Yes.
Interesting. That'll be a corker.
Yeah, Gillingham and Doncaster both at home, and Cheltenham away.
Have Gillingham had a bit of a ropey couple of results, have they?
I don't know if they were still... I'm just going to see if I can see where they are in the table now as I scroll down here, because they were top, and then they're fifth now. So yes, they've actually lost 3 on the spin.
That's a strong squad. I'd expect them to bounce back, but that'll be an interesting game. So anyone for a 4-3?
Yeah, we've got it's Port Vale, Doncaster, Notts County, Walsall, Gillingham, Barrow, us, Grimsby, all within 3 points of each other after 11. Now you look lower than us, and you have Wimbledon and Fleetwood, who actually have got games in hand. Wimbledon have got 3 in hand, so you expect that the form that they've been on and the talent that they've got, we've talked about that they're strong.
Mike scoring a hat-trick on Saturday, Matty Stevens.
Yeah, you would think they got 3 games to get a couple of points to get in that mix, so you would think that they would 100%, do that too.
Without a doubt.
And the surprise, I mean, staying in League Two is Carlisle. So Carlisle bottom of the table now. It's not really worked yet for Mike Williamson in getting his new manager bounce.
No.
You'd expect a lot more from them. I can't see them being a Forest Green and going all the way through.
No, I think it'll take him to the other side of Christmas, and plus he'll probably need 2 or 3 pieces key to the way he wants to play that he probably doesn't have at Carlisle. So if they stay with him till January, I dare say he'll be trying to pick up a couple from MK Dons, and whatever else. And he's just got a certain style and a certain way. Maybe Carlisle, the players, he doesn't have what he needs right now. So, that'll be a big part of it.
Yeah. So what else have we got going on? Let's see. So we've got the FA Cup that is the draw's happening actually from Valley Parade today, and not sure if it's happening as we speak. I'm going to go and check.
Let me guess. We'll end up with Birmingham away or something like that.
We're going to get Grimsby away.
Yeah. I think we've had Salford the last 2 years, so it'll be interesting to see who we draw.
Do you care who you draw?
No, you'd like a home game though. So
Yeah.
I think it's always nice to get a home game. So let's wait and see. When is the draw? Is it at 7 o'clock English time tonight?
Something, it's either 7 or 8, isn't it? What is it? So it's, I mean, on the West Coast, it's just coming up to 11 o'clock. So should be fairly soon. Yeah, I just, when you have a home game at this stage in the FA Cup, does it cost you money to stage it, or does the?
No, I just think you want to win round 1 and 2 and get into the draw for the big draw, don't you? The third round. So that's all that matters. So let's see who we get. What else has gone on in football? Nothing else because of the Championship. No one's been playing.
Yeah, Premier League have talked about coverage next season with halftime manager interviews and interviews with subbed players, dressing room cameras. Yeah, what do you make of all that?
What about our mighty Lions? You know what I mean?
Well,
Dallas yesterday, eh? It was great.
I love that.
NFL. It was brilliant. Some of the things Dan Campbell was doing,
happy birthday to the Cowboys owner.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I saw Hutch's injury with the leg smashed in half. That was horrible.
It's not as bad as it could have been. He'll be out for the season, I imagine, but it's pretty horrific.
Yeah, easy.
Now, hopefully they can bring somebody in to fill that gap because it looks a pretty strong Lions team right now.
It's one of the exciting teams to watch. If I were them and they've got the draft capital, go and get Max Crosby from the Raiders.
That's what they're talking about.
Go and get him. Go give them a first rounder. That Lions team wouldn't matter if they lost the first rounder next year. They've got so much talent. You know what I mean? So anyway, enough NFL. We don't want to bore all our British fans.
When you said about dressing room cameras, that's exactly who I thought of. Is because
of course NFL,
and you can't move for at least. Seeing the cameras in the Lions dressing room.
Look, everyone jumps in that shit and goes, we don't want, interviews with managers at halftime. We don't want this. We don't want that. Look, we're in an entertainment business, unfortunately. Football is, and I've called it the $1 trillion industry now for a couple of years. You can't stand still. You have to move with the times. And, I've always said that our league, particularly the DFL, have to look at the expansion and growth of the NFL. They have to wonder why that product, if I'd said to you 20 years ago, the NFL was going to rival the Premier League, the money, the revenue, the whatever else, you would have called me mad saying they were never going to make an impact in England. They were never going to make an impact in Spain, Germany, all these places. And they've taken that product and made it exciting worldwide. So I guess my thing is, let's not dismiss every idea that comes in. I wouldn't mind listening to a manager at halftime. As long as it's not Steve Evans, but I think we'd run out of time. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, you have to get the bleep machine out.
Sorry, Stevie boy. But I'd love to. I'd love to hear my manager's thoughts. Whether it's this side of the half and the half, or the other side of the half, and he come out of the dressing room. Yeah. So I have no problem with that. I've always said I wouldn't mind some more of those things happening. So call me, modern, idealist as opposed to being a dinosaur. But I'm not against some of those things.
I think that people want to feel more connected, and I think actually when you look at the Premier League, the support, the gap between the supporter and the player gets wider and wider and wider as they're in these bubbles. So the more that you can bring together and feel like as a supporter that you're more connected with what's going on, the better.
I agree with you. So I'm all for that, and if it leads to more lucrative TV deals because more eyes are on the product, I'm all for it. So let's not just dismiss every single idea that's kind of put forward and just go, oh, can't do that. No, I'm sorry, but we have to evolve. So, and if we want to sell our product around the world, right to Timbuktu or whatever else, we just have to make it better. If this helps make it better, do it. If it makes it worse, we'll stop it.
Yeah, and by the sounds of it, something we need to do is have better commentators on all these games that are being shown. So, I'm fortunate that we've got. Getting the international feeds, we get the BBC radio commentary, which for Bradford is very good. We've got a very good commentator who's doing it. But my mum listens and watches, to the ones that are being shown on the red button on Sky and says it's absolutely awful. Is the level of commentary. So we need to perfect. It's all well and good, kind of the first step of getting more access to games. But I think we need to be professionalizing the production standards.
We do. We need better production. I've said this about DFL. I've said it about the Sky and the way our product is like. I go on CBS on a Saturday morning because I'm thinking, well, Posh have a game and and it's just every week it's Wrexham, Huddersfield, or Birmingham. It's all the American-owned teams. And maybe I need to let CBS know that I'm like an American resident. So. Peterborough's like an American-owned team as well, so we can get on those. It just, saves me having to always stream it and send it to my TV if it's already on CBS. So, So that maybe I need to do that a little bit
And
more.
then you don't have the gap between the commentary and what's on the TV. And what you see in front of you.
Yeah, exactly right. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. I've always said this: we need to invest in our infrastructure better, and have a bit more say in how Sky present our product. I'm still not. I don't love the way the games are done. I don't love the same old tired people that they trope out and whatever else. And some of the ex-players they brought in who, are like single-digit IQ, and some of the commentary and whatever else. You just thought we can do better than this. Like we can do better. I watch the NFL and they have ex-players and they have whatever else, and they've got personality. They've got like a bit of panache. They've got a little bit about them. Some of the ones we've got are just as dull as dishwater. That they've just decided, he's an ex-player. He's going to make a great commentator.
He did something once for that. There were some very good ex-players doing it. Like I think of someone like Phil Murray does it for us sometimes, and he's very, very good.
Sure, Aaron McLean's good. I like Aaron. He's an ex-player of ours and whatever.
And there's others that it's just like noise.
They didn't screen test them. They just gave them the gig. And that's the worst thing. Most people in journalism, when they get jobs in the media, they're screen tested. And you check out to see what they're like and how do they come across, and are they insightful, and are they bringing something to the table? Like I said, dull as dishwater, some of them. And they weren't screen tested, and they're very lucky to have jobs. And I know how some of them got jobs. You know what I mean? So it's just like, we have to do miles better than that. And, the media is a professional industry. If you're going to start making ex-people in there, what the NFL used to do? When NFL players in the summer broke, and some of them were getting to the back end of their career, they used to have a media training course that they'd put on. And they used to have them, Jason Kelsey went to it. So they'd bring all these players who were like in their late 30s, who were about to retire, and they'd put them into a camp for 2 weeks. And they would bring all the networks in. People from the networks would come in and do screen testing and train them and put them on the spot and do certain promos with them, put them in front of the camera. They'd have to bring suits with them, and they would check them and test them. Why don't we do the same? If Sky are going to keep hiring every ex-defender or ex-whatever else that used to play, or in the EFL, why don't you do things for ex-players every summer? Why don't Sky, the BBC, ITV, BT, all of these put together a camp, come in? I think the Patriots held it once, where everyone went there and stayed there and used their stadium. Use a stadium in the EFL every summer. Do a 2-week course. Look at some of the players coming up to the end of their contracts and say, is that the next star, the next evolution in sports media and broadcasting? I'm not, maybe it would have saved us getting Gary Lineker for 20 years if they'd done that 20 odd years ago. So I don't have to listen to his fucking shite, so I'm joking. So, but all I'm saying is like, you want some talent, go out there and get it, but don't just hand out contracts and put the same old gobshites up all the time.
What's interesting in Major League Baseball is that the clubs are responsible for the broadcast. So they essentially, will hire the commentators, they'll hire the production staff, they'll hire the studio staff, and then it gets kind of syndicated and it gets bought by the rights holders who then buy to screen it.
Gotcha.
But the club is in charge of the product. And so, should our clubs have more say in the product rather than just leaving it to the broadcaster?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I've said it all along. This is how our product's displayed. Yes, they're paying us checks. Yes, they're giving us money, but the NFL have say on how everything is like displayed. So I've said it from day one. We have to have better product. It has to be marketed better. It has to be displayed better. It has to be produced better. It's almost like you get paid this money, and then they like cheap change it or shortchange you then on the content. So it needs to be much better.
Well, they'll say everything costs money, and we're.
Well, if you want more eyes on your product and more advertising dollars, produce better product. So, and that's the hard truth.
All right. Well, we got one question we're going to wrap up with today from Jono. Jono says he's a long-time listener, now a Peterborough Bradford news checker, as we're both second teams. Is currently a suffering Man United fan. He just asked if the ups and the downs. He asked if you could give a little bit more details how the financial side of a club being relegated and then being able to spend more money in the league below work. So obviously Birmingham seemingly the case in point right now.
Yeah.
Like how long do you need are you grandfathered into the league below?
I think when you come down from the champ, you get about a year to get your act together.
Okay.
Before all those restrictions kick in. There are certain players that don't fall into that, the financial fair play, like under 21s.
Yep.
I think players as well, if you already have them on long contracts from the championship, they don't go towards your financial fair play. You're given a certain amount of time before they're included in the budget. So like I've said all along, Birmingham have done it really well and creatively and gone out and got a championship team together.
And they've been able to play the system.
and they've used that year really well. Yeah, they've lived within the rules. They've done it right.
Yeah.
And when they go up, they'll be a strong championship team.
Yeah.
I actually think they might even be stronger than the Ipswich team that went up, which would be very difficult because Ipswich are unbelievable. So you know, there are certain rules, regulations. Those things change all the time. But nothing Birmingham has done has contravened any of those rules. And as much as it keeps upsetting people, and they've spent 1 minute it's 10, then it's 20, then it's 50, 80 million. It'll be £1 billion by the time we're finished. You know, when they've won promotion by March, some of the fans are a little bit like jealous of it. Yeah. I'm not jealous of any of it. You know, at the end of the day, we're all in League One for a reason. It's 11v11 on a Saturday. And yeah, it can be daunting when you play a team that have spent £4 million on a defender or £5 million or whatever. But that's the way it is. I mean, we all wish we could be in that position, but we're not.
Yeah, and I don't want to make this about Birmingham again.
No.
You know, do you feel that as an owner in League One, do you feel that it's necessary that a team that's coming down from the Championship has a different set of rules?
I think so. I think so because we suffered when we came down. We didn't get a lot of parachute money. We had players in bigger contracts. We had certain things where it was difficult. We had to, like I said to you, I think last summer or whenever it was, or the summer we came down, we had like a period where we couldn't register players, and we were up against it and whatever else, and we hadn't sold players yet. So I you know, you need that kind of like, you know, what do I call it, parachute you into it, and you know, but we don't get as much as say the Prem give to the champ. So I think that's only fair. Just equally, if you go to non-league, I think it's fair that you get a certain amount of support to give you a chance of getting back up. You know, that's just the way our game kind of works. I've no problem with the system. I've no problem with any of the rules. I don't want it to be an open field where we can just go out and spend £1 billion each every year. I've always said I used to love when they were bringing in that originally. You could only spend this budget on your first team a few years ago, and then the PFA stopped it happening. I quite liked it. I quite liked the idea that I would fight against the really, you know, talented Wrexham or Birmingham side and try and all spend the same money equally.
So, like, you could spend whatever money you wanted, but you could only name. You have a cap in the squad on a match day.
When they were doing it last time, I think it was 3 million or 4 million in wages we could do, and we could all spend the same. It was like even then people argued, well, we get 30,000 fans and you get 8,000 fans, and and the PFA didn't like it, and then it capped it. I quite liked it, and I think everyone under 21 didn't apply on that. So for us, it would have been brilliant. You know, you leave a lot of space there, but you've got youngsters and whatever that come from your academy. Don't sort of leave you space to sign a better striker or a better winger. And you know, I quite like going toe to toe. But equally, I'm okay going toe to toe with someone who spends 50 million and trying to outsmart them. And I feel I've got a coach and management team that are as good as them. You know, we might not have the player value, but we'll have the coaches who maybe are just as good as their coaches, if not better. And we just have to out-tactify them and outsmart them and do whatever. So it is what it is. So I'll leave it there.
All right.
A special hello to Stevie Boy, because I'm sure he'd be listening to this, and he'd be seeing what he's listening to. But he knows I love him, really.
You'll be getting some text messages.
Yeah, and you know, I've always spoken about I've always had respect for Rotherham anyway, and you know, their owner, the CEO, and like I said, I picked them as my favourites this year. That was before Birmingham started spending, but I still think they're going to be up there. So it'll be interesting. So all good.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. As always, thank you, Darragh, for your time. I'm back on the road next week, so again, it's my fault. We're going to try and record next week.
As am I.
But if next week doesn't happen, then it'll be a couple of weeks, and then hopefully we're set in the same in one place for a little while. Then. But,
thanks for staying with us, guys. Appreciate you.
We keep those questions coming, as always. Contact at hardtruthfootball.com. You can also send us any messages on X, on Instagram, TikTok. We're all at hardtruthpod. So until next time, thanks a lot.
Take care.